I don't know why public figures like Tim, like myself, like Nick, like yourself, don't actually fucking take the time and consideration to like really clarify their positions. I know it comes across like PR or whatever, but ultimately at the end of the day, you're a brand and you're working with other brands. You know what I mean? So as a large content creator, we all have the responsibility to conduct ourselves a certain way, in my opinion. Not everyone agrees with me on this. But if you say it like this, if you just, you know, drop a dime like this, of course people are going to see it as not just you defending your friend or anything, but you defending your friend because you agree with the interpretation, the broad interpretation, and how what Nick's statement was and how it was received. I mean, at the end of the day, if I think, for example, you were banned for something unjustifiably, I would come out and speak out against it. I have in the past when people, you know, criticize you for shit that I think is uncalled for. But if I feel like you've done something that's wrong, objectively wrong, that I disagree with, I'll call you out. I think that's what friends are supposed to do.
Yeah, no, I always agree with that. I used to do that, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So ultimately, this comes across like Tim is not disagreeing with like Nick's overall sentiment and instead defending him.
Oh, that's how it comes across. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I thought personally, whatever happens, if I had a friend and then his bundle half was taken out, it would feel weird that mine is like left in it. That was pretty much my take.
No, but no matter what happens, there are certain things that you wouldn't. Like, there are certain things you wouldn't defend. Now, this is not what Nick did, but if one of your friends, for example, said the F word, right? Like, and was like, I hate F words or whatever.
Whoa, yeah.
And then they banned him. I'm not saying this is what Nick did, but if one of your friends said that, you would not defend them. You would not in solidarity be like, yeah, you would not in solidarity be like, oh yeah, I think, you know, my skin should be taken or removed as well. You would actually probably do the exact opposite. You'd be like, hey, I love this guy, but, you know, I don't agree with what he said here, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Now, obviously, that's not what Nick did. And I don't think that that's what Nick did. I just want to clarify it like 8 fucking times so that all the dumb bitches don't, like, try to put words in my mouth. Okay? But the broad understanding of what Nick's statement was, considering how he said it and where he said it, was that, you know, he thought it was a bigger problem that children are learning about LGBT stuff in school than, like, parents getting their fucking ass beat by, like, random right-wing people. He might not have understood that that was the case at the time. He might not have understood, like, the actual context of the situation, but that's how it was received. So as a content creator, I think it's on him to clarify that sentiment.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah,
that makes sense, yeah.
When he didn't do that, it comes across like he's doubling down. And then when Tim defends him, it comes across like Tim is doubling down on behalf of Nick. They will get a lot of support for the record. It doesn't even matter. Ultimately,
I think that the severity of what is said matters a crazy amount. Like, you bought, like, saying like the I don't like, let's say, F word, then it's like really, really bad, right? And depending on the severity of the take, then you'll like tailor around it, right? Right?
Yes, it certainly depends on the severity, but I'm not surprised even in the least bit that Call of Duty would take this, would you know, absolutely move in the way that they did when one of their, you know, top content creators who has a skin with them comes across like they're saying that the real problem is that is not like. The real problem is the school is actually recognizing Pride Month, June as Pride Month, and not like people protesting that. Even if there wasn't fights, which there were.
Oh yeah,
it's not a. It's ridiculous to be upset about that. I disagree with that vehemently. I think here's a big thing, and I think this is like something that a lot of people used to do online, like especially back in like the 2014, 2015 days, you know what I mean, like Gamergate era, is that a lot of people don't say what they actually mean. A lot of people like to hide behind generalities and, you know, vague sentiments instead of just like openly saying what they actually mean. The notion that
the dog whistle.
Yeah, and I don't even think like, you know, a dog whistle implies that there's like an ideological underpinning behind it, but in many instances, I think a lot of people online will say, "Oh, well, like I'm just talking about saving the kids, and that you're a groomer," and they don't actually define why they think that. Okay, and I get this all the time. People are fucking constantly calling me left and right a groomer because I am in support of, you know, in support of gay people, in support of queer people, and also certainly in support of there being like some level of LGBT acceptance in schools. I don't think this is grooming, because I don't believe that you can groom someone into being gay by, you know, showing them that gay people exist in society. I think you're just at that point, all you're doing is just showing them an objective truth. But people don't want to openly admit that that's how they feel, so instead they hide behind generalities. I don't think Nick has an issue with gay people, for the record. But I do think that he's been brainwashed by a metric ton of fucking right-wing media that has like terrified him and many other normal people, normies, into genuinely misbelieving that, like, you know, people are objectively, like trans people are objectively grooming people, and that you know, kids are turning trans by seeing trans people in media or in schools and whatnot. And that is not the case. Not the truth. And a lot of people in your chat are saying they are, but that's not the case.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just, for me, it's always been about like, bro, I'm not in schools. Like, I don't go to school at these ages. I don't know how they translate that knowledge by navigating around the topic of like actual brute force fucking topic of sexuality, like actual sex acts or whatever. So I don't even know. But like, yesterday you made a good point. That you believe that they still don't do that, which is fair enough.
I don't. No, they don't do that. This is like, this is all stuff that actual fucking experts that understand child development a lot better than we do. They are the ones who come up with these educational materials, and it is their job to make sure that it's safe and responsible. And it's not new for conservative reactionaries to get out and be like, "Oh, I don't want my children learning this shit in school." They used to say this in the George W. Bush era about the theory of evolution. A lot of the Zoomers in your chat who think that this is like edgy and cool are too young to remember that time, but I'm old enough to remember that time. They used to literally picket and protest schools in an identical fashion because that was that was at that time the fashionable thing to get mad at. A lot of people just like react to whatever's in front of their fucking eyes. They don't really have like long held beliefs or things that they care about all too long, especially in the age of TikTok when, you know, attention is really difficult. It's a
yeah, true. I mean, my takes change literally in real time based on the information that I gather, which I think it's fine. I think it's a socially damaging process to learn on stream instead of waiting till I have all the knowledge and just go, "Hey guys, I'm the chosen one. I know everything." People usually argue the opposite against that. People say like, I don't think it's got whataboutism. It's like, I think overall, I think it's a healthy process to show development, whether that makes me look ignorant initially. And that's fine, fair enough. Do you agree with that or not?
I agree with that. Even though people will nefariously use that against you and say that, and will hold you to account on whatever your former take was. Because people, unfortunately, have no room for growth. Plenty of people on the left do this. Plenty of people on the right do this as well. I hate it. I think it's one of the most annoying things. That's why I routinely ban motherfuckers who will go, "Oh, backtrack, lol." It's not that I'm backtracking. I now have more information on the subject matter that I'm discussing and have changed my mind on it. I'm not a fucking idiot. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's what I like doing for sure. Yeah, it's why I get mad at a lot of people when they don't give me like at least the ignorant, because a lot of times I'm just ignorant and I don't think that's a problem. I don't think being ignorant is a problem as long as you're willing to learn and you're willing to and take new information. I try to do that as much as I can. But people don't give a fuck about that.
I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, people like to just cook. People cook. They cook me up.
Yeah, because everyone ultimately wants to feel loved and wants like admiration, affection from others, and you know, you have a way of quantifying that on social media through likes and retweets and whatnot. So people go for slam dunks as quickly as possible without actually trying to have a conversation and understand the other side's genuine perspective.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if we're going to go back to the main point of contention, I mean, yeah, you're right. There's nothing wrong with like getting new information and changing your mind. That's the expectation. That's what adults are supposed to do. And certainly, if we're talking about like educational materials in schools, I think Hutch had a really good take on this.
Hutch who?
Where Hutchinson.
Is that the guy that plays Chad? Is that the Hutch baseball guy?
No, he's a OG YouTuber. He's like he's a COD guy himself, like an old school COD guy. He basically said, where the fuck was it? It was pretty concise. I liked it a lot.
So what you're saying is that help the children or whatever is the vehicle for the dog shit.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, but conservatives are very good at this. They do it all the fucking time. That's what they did with All Lives Matter. That's what they do by claiming that they're fucking pro-life.
It's like the Tate thing, right? Like, oh yeah, these girls are getting clapped. Yeah, but at the same time, dude, I'm making them rich, lol. So I'm here to make the girls rich, pog.
Yes, it's reframing. Yes, all of a sudden, something that is bad and negative optically looks positive. Even though the pro-life movement could not be further from being pro-life, they still claim that they're pro-life because it hides a hidden premise. The underlying premise being that like life begins at conception and these are not fetuses, but instead like full alive children inside of the stomach of a pregnant woman, inside of the stomach of a carrier. It's just optics, and conservatives are very good at it, and a lot of people are, you know, either willingly or unwillingly getting on board with that because they like it's a more defensible position.
Wait. Say that one last time. What is in the position?
It's a significantly more defensible position when you consider it to be pro-life rather than we don't want women to have autonomy over their own bodies and we want to force people to carry pregnancies to term.
Oh no, I mean that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Same thing goes for Save the Children. If they were turning around, my dog's going crazy. If they were turning around and saying, "Oh, we think that children should not learn about the existence of gay people because we're afraid that they'll turn gay and that's a bad thing," a lot more people will be like, "Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. That's like a fucking stupid thing to say." Or they will just claim that this is actually to somehow protect children. You know what I mean? And it's just propaganda. They're doing this in a deliberate attempt to propagandize their position.
Okay. Yeah. I think this is used a lot when people talk about freedom of speech. Like freedom of speech equals I'm gonna be hateful as fucking cut everybody.
Exactly. Here, Hutch said the protest was about a school district voting to recognize Pride Month and part of their state mandated curriculum that educates kids on diversity, different types of families, contributions in history from LGBTQ leaders. What does leave the kids alone mean in this context? Which I think is a pretty good question. Like, and he follows and he says, okay, so Nick and his wife want to be the ones who talk to their kids about prominent LGBTQ leaders throughout history and the fact that not all families involve a mom and a dad. I struggle to see the harm of the state educating kids on these topics. Like, do you feel like there is some kind of harm being contributed if a school district is teaching about, like, I don't know, LGBTQ members throughout history, like historically relevant gay figures and trans figures, or that like some families have a mom and a dad, and some families have a mom and a mom, and some families have a dad and a dad? Is that actually a damaging thing to teach in schools to children?
No. I mean.
I love the amount of people saying yes.
I mean, who gives a fuck if somebody's one thing or another if they did something historical? Like, I don't give a fuck if they're black, white, gay, motherfucking Christian, Jewish. Like, I don't give a fuck. If something pops off, something pops off, you know?
Yes, but also on top of that, remember the other side of this, which is that there are certain kinds of families with 2 dads, certain kinds of families with 2 moms, and there's nothing wrong with that. That being a part of like a normal educational curriculum is perfectly valid and makes a lot of sense to me. The question I have for everybody who says like, oh, save the children from that is basically, why do you think that that is a bad thing? What are you saving the children from?
Okay, then definitely. Okay.
Follow-up always. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, even at a young age, they'll say like, guy kisses mommy. That's normal, right? When you're like, even super early, right? So as long as it's like, oh, guy kisses guy, also normal. That's pog, right? Like you said yesterday, as long as it's not like, oh, dude, fucking like that and that, then things get.
That's not age appropriate educational material, which is why people will often say that that is exactly what is being taught. But that is not, like, in most instances, the only time when children are learning about that sort of stuff is if they're learning about that sort of stuff in a heterosexual setting as well. And what you're talking about is sex ed. If we're talking about sex and sex ed, then that is, of course, for older students, which I do think is healthy and good and normal to teach children about as well, as long as they are age appropriate.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. I guess the question I have for people is why they think it's bad for children to learn about like a dad and a dad, a mom and a mom, or that trans and queer people exist in society. Do they think that like, you know, this will somehow turn their children trans? Do they think that they will turn trans or gay when they see that? Is that how they think this works? Because that's not how it works at all.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think I know, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's like people say, dude, you're so scared of having an opinion. No, I'm scared of having a bad opinion because I didn't think, or because I'm massively ignorant about something. I like to get at least a little bit of information to have a take, at least an entry level take, and then when I know more, I can have a better one. Otherwise, I mean, you're not helping anybody by having an early dog shit garbanzo take. Like, it's just, you're not doing anybody a service at that point. You're just being dumb.
I agree. So now that you understand that, do you get why people were upset, especially like gay people and shit, were upset about the way it came across? I keep saying the way it came across because like I'm not even trying to put words in Nick's mouth at all. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I get
like,
that.
I'm still perfectly open-minded, willing and able to say, hey, like if Nick comes out with a statement saying like, oh, I don't have an issue with any of this stuff whatsoever, which he did say some things where he was like, oh, I don't care about this like gay stuff at all, it's whatever, it doesn't matter, and my tweet was misconstrued that like I don't have an issue with like children learning about like LGBT historical figures or whatever, and that June being Pride Month is not an issue, and if he had said that originally, I genuinely believe that Call of Duty would not have taken his skin away.
I mean, they took it away fast.
No, I know, but they probably made an assessment and thought it, you know, and understandably thought that it looked bad for them. Because remember, there's like gay and trans developers too. You know, maybe there's gay and trans people that play Call of Duty. They want to make it seem like they give a shit for 1 month and 1 month only.
Yep. I mean, that doesn't make sense, yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's still, you know, a game where you're killing people and it's not that great and there's a lot of cheaters in it, and ironic that a lot of Call of Duty fans that wasn't enough for them to stop fucking playing the game, but this is.
I mean, true, actually. What about the Bud Light Go Woke Go Broke? That shit's all from my Twitter feed every day.
Yeah.
What about that? What is that even about?
Bud Light. Oh, this is actually a really funny fucking story. There's some random trans content creator by the name of Dylan Mulvaney. She's like popping on TikTok, I guess. I had never heard of her. I didn't know anything about her. And Bud Light gave her a beer can with her face on it. Like literally one fucking 6-pack of beer with her face on it. And she did like a 60-second spot on her own Instagram. Okay? What? Not even a 6-pack. Sorry, one can. They got one can. So basically, conservatives saw this and fucking lost their shit over it because Matt Walsh and all these other like anti-trans propagandists said Bud Light is trying to like, you know, market to trans people, and that's really fucked up. How dare they do that? They're trying to make everybody trans. We don't want Bud Light to even market to trans people. Fuck you. We're gonna refuse to drink Bud Light. Then they started buying 30 racks of Bud Lights and started shooting at them. They said, you know, Bud Light are groomers and pedophiles because they had a single 60-second slot ran on a trans person's Instagram page. It was like a one-off advertisement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one was supposed to see it other than like Dylan Mulvaney's immediate audience. They publicized it, and everyone in America fucking found out about it due to their constant publicization of it. Okay? And then they were like, we're going to punish Bud Light for making, you know, trans beer now because they're groomer pedophiles. Because, once again, they constantly fucking say that any kind of acknowledgement of trans people existing or any kind of like, oh, yeah, we don't have an issue with trans people, immediately in the minds of conservatives,
it's trying to make people trans.
You're a pedophile.
Like a virus.
Yeah, they keep saying you're a groomer, you're a pedophile, and also, you know, trans people are trying to trans your children. Like that's the claim. That's the most common claim that conservatives make, and a lot of people champion and also parrot. So it was literally for her birthday and for March Madness, and you know, she jokingly in the ad literally said, I don't know shit about March Madness. And yet conservatives lost their fucking minds, made it seem like it was a national run campaign, made it seem like it was all over their face, all up in their face, nonstop, and that's the only thing that they were fucking advertising.
But is Bud Light actually losing a lot from this or not? Like
Bud Light, from what I understand, due to you know, market conditions, has lost revenue, but also this might have actually had an impact, like a noticeable impact in their branding. People are literally not only not buying Bud Light, but there have been instances where people are fucking fighting people that buy Bud Light in bars and shit.
What?
There have been documented instances of people getting into altercations and even fights for purchasing Bud Light in front of other people that get into fucking fights and shit.
Wait.
Ultimately, though, you know, Anheuser-Busch is a monopoly. What's up?
Well, you know, I used to work there, right?
You used to work at Anheuser-Busch?
Yeah. AB InBev.
Yeah, well then you know that they're a fucking monopoly, and therefore, you know, they are an unshakable force in the market overall. So a lot of these dumbass conservatives were like, oh, well, I'll drink fucking Modelo instead of Bud Light now, which is also, I think, owned by
it's all dog shit, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't like it either. It's just piss. Who gives a fuck? But you just drink it to get fucked up. It's like a cheap, it's a cheap drunk beer.
I think it's enough for me not to have the feeling I'm gonna puke from drinking alcohol, right? But it's like, I don't like it, but I'll drink enough of it because I can drink a lot of it because I don't feel like I'm gonna puke, which is good because it's not strong enough. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. So conservatives got one canned, and some of them fucking deliberately turned around and like made a big deal about it when it wasn't a big deal at all because they're fucking little babies.
So they snowball the dog shit into like almost like their own misinformation campaign, almost pretty much.
Yeah, but that kind of shit, especially when it's about like trans people, it pops off, it bangs, and a lot of people just want clout. Some people are also selling counter products. There was a guy who was selling literally woke, anti-woke beer, you know what I mean, for like $24 for a 6-pack, like ridiculous prices.
Damn.
The Daily Wire is one of the worst offenders in this. It's a massive news network at this point. I'm sure you're familiar. It's like Ben Shapiro is a part of it, Matt Walsh is a part of it, Candace Owens is a part of it. They basically use any opportunity like this to go to factories and create their own dropship products.
Wait, what?
That is like anti-woke. So like, they did this with Dollar Shave Club, right? I think Dollar Shave Club was like, oh yeah, we don't care who uses our products. Like, we're fucking pro-gay, pro-LGBT. And then they basically went, or it was a Harry's, I don't remember. They basically went and made their own product that they sell to their own dumbass audience at a higher price, at a higher markup, because they present it as it's anti-woke. So now there's also another financial component to this story, where they did it to Hershey's as well. I think when Hershey's came out with a statement about like acknowledging trans people, they turned around and said, "Oh, we have anti-woke Hershey's." Like, it's a grift. They're trying to make money. They're trying to scam their own fucking gullible, dumbass fan base into buying the exact same dog shit product that with an upmark. It's like a pink tax, but a stupid tax, really.
Oh, I mean, all that sounds really fucking stupid. If they got one can. I mean, getting one can is pretty bad, to be honest.
Yeah. But the point is, they're doing it deliberately. Like, Matt Walsh is not just getting one can. He's deliberately creating a narrative, knowing full well that this will get him a lot of clout, and this will get him more eyeballs, and this will create a more hostile space for trans people in general. Because he's a bad guy, straight up.
Man,
the conservatives that watch him, those are the ones who are getting one can. Because they think the situation is way more dire. The situation is awful. They're like fucking transing our children or some shit.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. I mean, getting one can is pretty embarrassing. I mean, I feel like sometimes that goes and, like, devalidates your own movement when you do dumb shit like that.
Yeah, if only, but I think vitriolic sentiment is, you know...
What is that? Vitriol? I always say... I've always...
Vitriol? Like exaggerated, being anti-something in an exaggerated manner. Like, explosive.
Makes sense.
Like poisonous narratives.
You know what? I actually learned a lot today. Yep. I learned a lot today.
Alright, well, I'm glad you did.